Yes, welcome back to the Saturday 5. Please get in contact at gbnews.com/your-say. We've been getting some of your comments on that last debate. Kez K says social media and AI is partly to blame that only feeds leftists what it thinks they want to see. I mean, I think social media companies do have a lot to answer for in this regard. And John Newton says that anyone that turns up to a march or protest wearing a mask should be asked to remove the mask.
Yep.
If they do not, they should be arrested.
Well said.
Well, as well as that, remember to get your questions in for Ask the Five. Almost anything is on limit. Nothing is off limit. I'm mixing up my languages there. And don't forget to vote for what you want us to debate in the Saturday Scrap at gbnews.com/poll. Because today we're asking, 1, should we scrap the assisted dying bill? 2, should asylum seekers be allowed to go on holiday to their home country? And 3, should you be signed off work for life? But now it's time for our next debate. Who's up next?
Yes, Guy, thank you. And as an aside, it is very jarring seeing you look presentable and sounding very sensible.
Yes.
I don't suck up is down. I'm not quite sure what to do.
I wonder whether the audience want me to look so kempt. There we go. Over to you.
Over to Mac. Ladies and gentlemen, Oxford and Cambridge universities were once the greatest institutions of learning that the world had ever seen. So I take no joy in saying that it is a tragedy in how far they have fallen. Who knows when exactly the rot set in? One may suggest when they let in a certain host on this panel, maybe that was a sign of things to come. But the end result now is that for the first time, Cambridge and Oxford have fallen out of the top 3 of the UK university rankings. This has come at the same time where Oxford is engulfed in controversy, where the president-elect of the Oxford Union, George Aberonier, who is openly admitting to despise the institution which he is about to lead, who we can see has the debating skills of a 14-year-old, is about to take on the leadership of what was once a great institution of debate and what is now an institution which, if he becomes leader, will support the incitement to violence. The fact of the matter is that these institutions have, for years now, had DEI hiring policies which have dropped the standards across the board, so it is no longer the best of the best, and it is now basically an institution which rewards identity politics. There is leftist ideology which has captured the intellectuals and the academics across those institutions to the point now where every kid who comes out of it is brainwashed. The point here is, ladies and gentlemen, I think these institutions are too far gone. I would love to say that we can recapture and get some common sense and free inquiry and open debate and support for Western civilization back into these institutions. I don't think we can. I think we need to build new institutions. I think we need to actually say that we need to actually build afresh. What do you think?
Can I jump in really quickly on this? Because I went to visit Hungary not that long ago. And what they have decided is that actually universities themselves are full of left-wing activists, state-funded universities, should I say. And that because, obviously, if you can't do, teach. And that's what many say. That's what many say. I'm not saying it's always true. In many cases, it's not. But what they've decided to do is actually fund right-thinking universities over there and just say, actually, look, if you lean to the right, this is a place where you can come and enjoy your philosophy in a safe environment where you're not going to be shouted out, you're not going to be trapped out of your school, you're not going to be forced off of your out of your classroom for having political views that you disagree with. And I think that might be the way forward.
The US is doing something similar. There are institutions like the University of Austin which have been opened recently with the express purpose of supporting debate, open inquiry, Western civilization, all that sort of good stuff. I think that's where the UK needs to move towards. I just think these places are too far gone. They're too ideologically captured.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
What do you think, Trey?
I think
is that what we need? It's alternate institutions being set up?
I think it's a bit of an overreaction. I mean, he did delete what he said. You know, there are lots of people who said horrendous things against George Floyd. I don't think there was that level of backlash. You know, he's deleted it. I think we're forgetting. Look, we're forgetting something, right? How many of our leaders have come from Oxford or Cambridge? We can all see that politics have actually started to go down the pan a long time ago. So it's not just people like that, these DEI hires, as you call them. Lots and lots of our prime ministers have come from these places, and the country's gone to rot. So there's lots of reasons. I think it's just an attack on a left and a young people's perspective.
Well,
and that's all it is. It should be freedom of conscience, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, as another Oxford graduate, James, you were also president of the Oxford Union, which is embroiled in this yet another scandal. What do you make of all this? Is it time to get rid of Oxbridge completely?
Well, I hope not. I mean, you and I met in the Oxford Union 14 years ago, and I won't give away to any of the viewers any of the mad escapades into which we got. Maybe we'll do that later on.
Not publishable.
But I think it's a real tragedy because these places are wonderful. The history of the Oxford Union is over 200 years old. You walk along, you see on the walls that Einstein's gone there, and Mother Teresa and Gandhi, and all these sorts of impressive people. I think the problem has got to a point where it's just following the culture where you could only express one set of opinions. So I wouldn't want to see different institutions. I want to see the institutions we've got have an injection of debate. I think that university is a great idea.
We're going to stay with you now, James, because I think you're talking a bit about Rachel Reeves's recent woes. Do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. I mean, I did used to work in the Treasury, and so I will be boring and bring it back to the economy. As Bill Clinton's advisor once said, it's the economy, stupid. I'm not sure that won him any particular friends, but if you don't have a strong economy, you can't get anything else done. And the debates around the economy link to everything else. We've been told for a long time, for example, that immigration is absolutely crucial to the economy. If that were true, perhaps we'd have the strongest economy in the world, which we don't. But it also links to education, it links to healthcare, it links to the pothole at the end of your road being filled in or not being filled in. And we've seen some staggering news recently, not just the borrowing figures that are eye-watering, and still a couple of months to go before Rachel Reeves's punishment budget, where she'll throw up taxes even more and keep splurging even more spending. But this farcical idea we now have that the private school system, still really very good in this country, is something to export. British private schools are opening up in Lisbon and in Rome and in Madrid. These are countries, the economies of which used to be basket cases, but we're seeing people fleeing high tax, high regulation Britain to all these other countries because they are now better, more friendly, more business open environments. And that is a tragedy that is all of Labour's making.
Well, you've been quite on the forefront of this topic. What would your medicine be for Rachel Reeves's woes? I think I know what you'll say, but lowering taxes?
Well, you need to lower spending first. If you lower taxes, there will be a temporary shortfall in the budget, and this was the problem that Truss got into. So you need to lower spending in order to actually get the budget balanced in the time it takes for growth to catch up to that. But the fact of the matter is Labor won't do that because it's antithetical to their ideology, because they've got a loony backbench who will resist any single tax, any single spending cut. And so unfortunately, we are stuck in this tax doom loop for the next 3 or 4 years.
Isn't this the problem, right? And we talk about welfare cuts and trying to cut down spending, but government after government in this country of all colours have tried to cut spending, and especially looking at welfare. We've got so reliant on welfare. To put this on Labour's door, isn't that just a bit too far? I mean, Alex, James, I'm sure you both disagree, but I really don't think you can place this on Keir Starmer.
Every government since the war has spent like a sailor on leave. There was a slight reduction of it under Thatcher, but she didn't cut it by as much as perhaps she should have done. And I think that we've become addicted to it. And because it's so easy for politicians to buy votes with taxpayers' money, we need to be saying things like the pension system in this country, totally unaffordable. The healthcare system, totally unaffordable. You're just shoveling money into the fire pit on this at the moment. And we're so anti-growth at the moment as well. You can't get anything done in this country, and that's killing us. We will go broke very, very soon.
Yeah, I really despair at government spending. What angers the public the most, particularly right now, is we spend billions and and billions of pounds on things that we should not be spending that money. Right? And then we talk about, yes, the pension system's unaffordable, but why are we spending £20 billion on, accumulatively, the illegal migration crisis, which could be stopped tomorrow with a bit of political will? Could be stopped tomorrow. There are things that happen in this. Why are we spending £24 billion on a carbon capture plant with untested science? Right? These are things,
benefits for non-citizens.
Benefits for non-citizens. Why are we having to chase up foreigners who come and use the NHS because we don't charge points of purchase a lot of the time? There is a lot of issues with this country that could be solved with political will, and you have to start there. Translators, all this nonsense that we have just rolled over and accepted as a normal thing to accept in our society, that has to stop before we start talking about cutting people's pension, because then what you're talking about then is ripping up the social contract between the government and the people that's been established for a very long time. And if we want people to stay in this country and we want people to remain here and to work here, we need to give them an incentive to do that, because this country is rapidly going down the pan.
The last word on this to Trey. I mean, Trey, you know a lot of entrepreneurs. Would you say to them, flee the UK, or do you still have some hope?
Most people I know are actually going to Dubai, and I think that's one of their issues. I think this country is becoming less and less attractive for people who actually want to do business. I mean, look at us landlords, for instance. We're public enemy number one. If you're going to get rid of this entrepreneurial, hard work type ethic, what are you going to be left with? You're going to get a bigger and bigger welfare bill and not much growth at all, and everyone's just going to flee.
Well, that's all we have time for that debate.